So I think I need to read it a lot more carefully myself. I've just really read it at a surface level, but in the third chapter of your book, you talk about handling infinities. So one challenge for utilitarianism is what to do if the universe is infinite, because infinity minus infinity might give you something undefined.
Right. Well, that's exactly why I wrote that third chapter. But it's a turnoff. Anybody who's actually slaved their way through the second chapter would be completely turned off by the third chapter.
But do you think that you actually have an answer to people who pose that as a problem for utilitarianism or the grace happiness principle? Does that chapter answer their
No,
objections?
I don't think there is a real problem because in the real world, due to bounded rationality, people can't think of the universe as a whole. We don't know we don't know bupkis about the real world. There's another Yiddish word for you, by the way.
But what if somehow we did become aware that the universe actually is infinite and probably has infinite life in it, assuming there's like some probability of
Yeah,
life in each
it doesn't
sector?
matter because by bounded rationality, we can only think in compact, finite terms.
What if there really is an infinite amount of stuff out there? Doesn't that pose some problem if you're like
No,
thinking
not
about summing
really.
across everything?
Not really, because even if there is an infinity of stuff, we can only contemplate a finite amount.
Well, is it the contemplation or is it the fact that like you can only impact stuff in your own light
Well,
cone?
if it's infinite, you can expand indefinitely.
Okay.
I mean, right now we're confined to the Earth more or less, and that gives us plenty to think about right there. And we will slowly probably expand to the solar system as a whole.
Sure.
That would probably take maybe 100 years, something like that.
Yeah, if we
But,
survive,
but
yeah.
then you're stuck. I mean, what are you going to do? How do you get even to Alpha Centauri, which is 4.5 light years away?
Well, I think we could get there. It'll just take a while,
It will take a while.
maybe
But
a long while.
would anybody be willing to make that trip? They'd have to be unconscious for several lifetimes.
Or we could have a generation ship where,
Yeah, no, I think what would happen is we'd, we'd have to plant space colonies from scratch.
sure.
We wouldn't have a moon to go to. Space colonies from scratch, one after the other. I would say it could take maybe 10,000 years before we get to Alpha Centauri.
Okay, so
And that's probably an underestimate.
you're talking about how how slowly we'll be able to expand. So is that also lining up with uh, world theory, sort of talking about what we can actually influence? So if
Mm-hmm.
we can only influence a finite area, then it doesn't matter if there's all this other stuff out there. I mean, intuitively,
That
it
would be
sounds right.
another answer to your question. That's
Okay.
right.
Does that have anything to do with what you talk about in that book? Like, you can talk about the measure for everything outside of what you can influence, and then there's also this one sector you can actually change.
I don't really talk about the book in that sense.
Okay,
All the individual things are about finite.
I see.
Uh, I don't even know if that's true, but like the transportation problem uh, could be formulated in terms of the real numbers rather than the integers or the rational numbers. But you know, it's the bounded rationality that really answers the question,
Hmm.
or to be more accurate, prevents you from even asking the question
Oh, because you just can't contemplate
in a
infinity?
meaningful way.
Huh.
I mean, people could talk about the nature of the universe, but they don't know really what they're talking about. I mean, even the physicists can't figure out what's happening with why is the universe expanding at a more rapid rate over time? Should be expanding at a slower rate because the gravitational effects should be pulling things together.
Okay.
That's something which is not understood at all. In fact, quantum mechanics is not really understood at all, and it, it seems to be incompatible with general relativity theory also. So, so tell that to Glasgow. Give him something to think about.
Yeah, I'm sure he might have some thoughts on that.